Brisbane, Australia. This is episode 87 of The Normal Blokes, a podcast dedicated to improving the competitive 40k experience. I'm Dineeth, and today we've got Jordan. How you doing, mate?
Good, man. How are you?
Oh, I'm well. It's been a busy weekend. We are hot off the tails of the Gladiator Gaming team event. When you're listening to this, it's probably going to be later in the week or the weekend, but we're recording on a Tuesday night. And this is going to be a really interesting episode. We're going to do a quick recap of our team. But we've also asked a few of the captains of about 4 or 5 of the teams to record a little sample and send it in. So we'll be attaching that to the back of the episode, and that'll take a few days to come out. But the main thing and the main objective of that is just to highlight some of the other people in our community and the thoughts they go through when they put a team together for a team event. But yeah, look, overall, Josh McGowan at Gladiator Gaming ran a really, really great event again. We took a team of 4. It's 4-man teams over 5 rounds over 2 days. The Normal Blokes team was me, Jordan, Wayne, and Matt McArdle. So we were lucky enough to come in 3rd place. And as our good friend Ben Warrior likes to say, go undefeated at team events. So shout out to Big Ben. So man. So I guess we'll just start by going through our lineup and the list we played. Jordan, you came in with a big sword list to punch some wins with the Blood Angels list. So tell me a bit about that.
I did. So essentially it's my the typical Blood Angels list that I've been playing of late. A bit of MSU, mixed in with some attack bikes and a whirlwind, and some characters to buff the small units to make them punch above their weight. Mm-hmm. The list did exceptionally well, better than I actually thought it would. Scores really well, and so the list was Dante, Libby, big Chief Libby with 1,000,000 powers, and I call him the Magic Man. I have Sang Priest with Rites of War. I have 2 units of Infiltrators. Then I have a Vanguard detachment with, I think the Libby was in that one, and it's 2 units of 5 Sangard, 1 unit of 4, 10-man Vanguard vet unit with claws and 1 hammer, and all shields, 5 Death Company, the lovely Death Company, and 2 hammers, and then I've got 2 units of 3 attack bikes and multi-melters and a whirlwind.
Yeah, nice. And there was a part in the second day when I realized, it was end of the first day when I was like, wait, I don't need to muck around with pairings. If I just put Jordan into a green, he'll bring back a 20. So the objective of my pairings just ended up being putting into greens on day 2, and it was great, hey?
Yeah, man. It was I had never been paired so well into greens, and I was like, oh my god, this is actually a green.
Yeah, it's great. But and to round out our team, we had Wayne Russell, who's on the back off the Death Guard release, his Love and Life. He had a mech heavy Death Guard list that definitely did a lot of shooting with Plagueburst Crawlers and the new Contemptors, the new kids on the block with the Volkite guns that do mortal wounds. Yep. They hurt. And he had some Death Shroud, and he was a really pivotal shield list in our lineup. We knew that Wayne was just going to have to eat the big matchups, and when a big sword list came out in pairings, we would just have to put Wayne into it. And there are a few rounds that we'll go through where he really delivered. He went into like the reddest red on the Matrix that we saw, that we actually talked about on a previous episode, Josh Gordon's ad mech list. And the guy came back with 6 points in that red. So it was definitely more than we expected. So he filled his role really well. And then we had Matt McArdle on the Decimator list that we've talked about a couple of times. So, definitely a lot of mortal wounds there. And that was a really interesting tech choice because Matt's been playing Chaos for donkey's years, and he knows that book really well. And we wanted to really bully with that list and pair well. And Matt actually ended up taking some of the hardest games for our team. And he went through the event just going down and losing to some really good players, but that list in pairings is actually really, really beneficial. Yep. And then I played the new hotness, the Drakari, and oh my god, we're going to talk about that. It was a wild ride. So there's definitely a few tricks in that book, and for anyone who's listened to the episode we had a couple of weeks ago when Luke talked with Simon about the Drakari. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of MSU. It's a lot of damage. And I had some experience with the Negwan Covens, Artists of Flesh custom coven, and those grotesques really pop off, and we'll talk about that a bit later. But yeah, mate, we got the pairings a week before,
We
and
did.
who did we cop round one?
We had to, didn't we? We had
We
to get
had
them.
to
We
cop
had
the
to get the
Vix.
Victorian team.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in the week before, Josh McGowan got his very cute daughter to do the pairings, pulling them out of a hat, and we were up against the Chad Vicks, or as she called them, the Vic Simps. So it was essentially the Victorian side of the Australian WTC team. So it was Lee Abbey on Chaos, Adam Camilleri on Dark Angels, Jeremy Martino on Sisters, and Matt Morrisoli on the New Drakari. So we looked at our matchups. It looked pretty horrible. In a total of 16 potential matchups, so 4x4, we had a total of, I think it was 2 greens, and they were both on my line. So it was like particularly average. But yeah, leading up into that, I guess we all had a few practice games. Hey, Geordie?
Yes, we did. All of us did, including playing against the Drakari.
Yeah, so we found out pretty quickly that Jordan's Blood Angels don't like that game. We found out pretty quickly that Wayne's Death Guard is all right into it, or we could just bust someone into it. So our general plan going into their lists is we thought their Sisters and Dark Angels might be some sitting in champion for us, so we put Matt's Decimator list in champ. We won the roll-off to do the pairings, and they put up Lee Abbey's Chaos list. And I knew that was the best one to get Jordan into, because that's where, our Sword list won't get gimped by a Sisters list or a Dark Angels list or something like that. So yeah, we put Jordan in. Jordan will talk a bit about his game, but he got a very small loss. He got 9 points out of it. Then I put myself up. They put Jeremy Martino's Sisters into that, and I was lucky enough to get a pretty solid win. I got an 18-2 win against Jeremy. And the final pairing was Wayne into Adam, the Death Guard into the Dark Angels. And the funniest bit was we were like, Wayne was not confident going into this. He was like, oh, I'm going down, guys. I can't manage this list. And me and Jez are in like turn 2, and Wayne turns around. He's like, I've killed 10 Deathwing Terminators. And I was like, oh my God. So Wayne, out of the ashes, pulls an 11-9 win, which left poor Matt McArdle, the battle of the Matts in champion, Matt McArdle versus Matt Morrisoli. Drakari into the Decimators was not good, so Soli got a big 20. But yeah, Jordan, any highlights about your game?
Yeah, man. Lee. I haven't played against Lee before. I've sat on stream back in Brisbane, BrisCon years ago. Watched him and Eric play. Never played the guy myself. Spoke with him a few times, and this is our first game together. And it was. I knew it was going to be a tough one. I knew it wasn't going to be an easy win because Death Guard are pretty. It's always a close match for BAs, but I can normally beat them just on pure mobility. But this game was going to be hard because he had the deep striking Emperor's Children bombs. But yeah, essentially I went first, and Death Company ran over, didn't kill a Plague Burst Crawler, which I'd planned to do. Got nearly killed one, and that kind of gimped my game plan a little bit. And then a few other little things didn't go my way, but managed to claw back, and I made a mistake at the end of the game, which ended up losing me some points, which would have probably kept it closer to a draw. So that was a little bit of a mistake on my behalf, but in the end, I was able to claw enough points back, and I went down to Lee Abbey. He ended up with a 11 teams score, and I got a 9, so it was pretty good.
And that's still a great score in our books, because we had Wayne who pulled an 11-point win out of nowhere. So your 2 wins your loss to Wayne's win kind of cancelled each other out, and then my win to Morrisoli's win kind of cancelled, so we ended up drawing with the winning team.
We did.
So we came out of that round, and I was like the happiest captain ever. And it was really cool. And my game with Jez was a really great game. I've never played Jez before either. We've obviously talked and met at many events, but the Drakari honestly just walk forward and just start killing Sisters and just take the board, and when Repentia and Zeph start bouncing, the game just snowballs. So, it was. I definitely got a bit lucky in a few spots. I had a bit of fun over the event playing While We Stand, We Fight on 2 units of grotesques that were neg 1 damage, and a boat of 10 Cabalite Warriors Trueborn, which sounds like the squishiest thing in the world, but they're just sitting backfield fire and fading. And I kind of like that people wanted to dive and get them and then would make a mistake and trip over themselves. But yeah, the closest anyone got to killing a unit of grotesques was actually Jez. He charged Zeph and I think Repentia and shot it with multi-melters. And he got one grotesque down to one wound, Jordan. And man, I was sweating. That was me with like a CP reroll of an invo because I charged them into a ruin next with a Cronus and popped the stratagem to push them to turn 5 power from pain to give them a 5-up invo. So he'd put all this firepower into that unit of grots. One of them was alive, it was fearless. So what did I do? I popped it into a raider and took it off the board. So yeah, I unfortunately just kept pushing. So yeah, it was a heavy game, but Jez played it really well, and yeah, we finished that with a draw. Man, how are you feeling after that round?
The fact that we drew that round was a big surprise.
Yeah.
So man, I was chuffed, but then I knew at that stage we weren't going to be playing. We weren't going to be playing scrubs because it was either going to be someone who'd won or got pretty close to a win.
Speaking of scrubs, Jordan, the next team, no, I shouldn't say that. The next team we actually played was another team that on paper we had down as a loss, Sun Tzu, which was Liam Hackett's team. So really interesting. I think going into that round, they had Liam Hackett on custodes with this massive custode shield list with like, I think it was at 29 shield guard.
Yes.
Yeah, yep. And then Lockie Carter with the Harlequins. So he had 2 big units of bikes and players. Brian Lakeland on Sisters, and Aaron on the Dark Angels. So yeah, we ended up playing this a bit differently. I think you were our champ this round, Jordan.
Yes, I think I was, and I ended up catching the Dark Angels, which in my head I thought I already lost the game before I got on the table.
Yeah.
It's a hard one because for me, Dark Angels are a pretty hard game. I was probably only fortunate that it was actually Vital Intelligence was the mission, and due to my army's mobility and a few things like that, I can basically just kind of run away with it, which was good. So I managed to get the win on Aaron. It was a very, very close game, and probably the best game I had all weekend, realistically.
Nice.
Aaron's he plays on another level. His head's really in the game when he's in there, and he plays so well. So I had to be thinking ahead. But the one consensus I will say all weekend, I went first every single game, and every time I go first, I'm killing something. Turn 1 with Death Company.
Oh, and on a side note of going first, Jordan, on the second day, Hayden Waldock walks in like 20 minutes late, like shirt off to the tournament. I'm pretty sure he's hungover. Walks in with his army in a tray, like no shirt. Anyway, he's playing Brian, and then he gets the roll to go first, and he just yells the top of his voice, like, "Oh, hey guys, I'm going first, yeah!" And the whole room just laughs. But yeah. Back to the round. That was so funny. So
it was perfect.
Yeah, so Liam ended up playing Wayne. I think we first put up Wayne and Liam went into it. Wayne felt pretty confident, but Liam did a really smart play midway through the game and just really put the pressure on with his custodes and got a big swing and started killing a lot of stuff. Not something Wayne expected. Wayne probably expected Liam to sit back and just be a big shield, but Liam got a 16-4 win against Wayne, which put a bit of pressure on everyone else. We knew the game with Lockie Carter and Matt McCardle was always going to be close because the Decimators kill the Harleys, but also the Harlequin, Fusion, and Haywire kill all of Matt's, big robots and stuff. So we thought that'd be close. And Lockie got the win against our team, 11-9. And then, you said, Jordan, you got an 11-9 win against Aaron to cancel that out. And then me playing against Brian's Sisters, we're playing on Vital Intelligence. Brian had some really good moves trying to tie up my units and, sneak obsec into corners. And it was just one of those games where the luck just didn't have him. Like he charged 5 Dominions into 5 Mandrakes, didn't kill any. Then I killed them all back. And then in my command phase, the Mandrakes were stretched out on 2 objectives. So I just got more primary. And then he tried to turn 5 really smartly wrap a radar that had my While We Stand Grotesques in it. So when he killed it with Repentia, I didn't have CP to emergency disembark so they'd all die. And then the radar died and it blew up and it blew me a hole to get grotesques out. So like it was
I
just
was just
super
about to
unlucky.
say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I got an 18-2 win. I think on paper it should have been closer to about a 15-5. But yeah, man, we tied that round again. So we
Another
tied.
tie.
So we're sitting on 2 draws. Feeling pretty chuffed because on paper we actually don't win against those teams. So someone's performing well and someone's getting us some points. And even the bad matchups, our shields are scrapping points. So, it was great. And yeah, then we played Giant King. Now, Geordie,
The
talk about the
Giant
matchups here, mate, because that was good. Great when we put you up.
Yeah, there was some good pairing. Yeah, so we had me into Anton's Death Watch. Lovely guy, by the way, Anton. He's absolute gentleman, fun guy to play. So Dineeth went into, was it Campbell?
Yeah, Campbell and his Drakari. So it was like a Drakari mirror, but he went more the witch's route.
Yeah, yep. We had Matt into Jai, the king
all
himself,
hail.
the Giant King. And we also had Wayne going into Josh on his AdMech.
Oh man! So going into this round, there was one list that no one wanted to play, and it was Josh Gordon's like 30 breaches that all had a feel no pain and had exploding fives. We didn't want anything to do with it because I'm a mech list. Jordan's list dies to all that arc rifle fire. Wayne's list is a mech list, and Matt's list is a mech list. So no one wanted to touch it. And we were like, cool, Wayne, you have the most average draw. We're going to put you into champ, and you might catch Josh. And Wayne's like, oh, yeah, okay, cool, okay. And then first put up, we put Jordan in. They pair the Deathwatch in. We're like, cool, that's a win for Jordan. They put the Drakari in, and then I see, cool, if I take this mirror match out and get a win, that means someone else doesn't have to deal with the Drakari. Cool. And then we see what's left in the hand, and it's the Necrons. And Wayne just goes, fuck. Because Wayne knows that he's got the AdMech in champion. And for reference, we're playing on battle lines, and Wayne's on the emptiest table in the world. And by some miracle, he gets 6 points. So, yeah. It was great.
He did well.
It was great.
And Matt did well, really well too. We might
Yeah.
because Matt had a practice game against Jai leading up to this event against his OBSEC Necrons, and they basically bully. They're a really good bully against this decimator list because the Scarabs are 4 wounds, the Keepers only do 3 damage. It was going to be a really bad game. Matt managed to score 6 points.
Yep.
Which all credit to him on a mission like that, which is, in my opinion, complete garbage.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
It's the worst mission. So, credit to Matt for that, and credit to Wayne as well. They both did really well.
Yeah.
Because technically, if we hadn't 20'd and they didn't score enough, we were getting another draw. But
that's right. Yeah, it was almost another draw. So, yeah, we got lucky. Jordan played really well into the Deathwatch, and I had a pretty good game into the Witches based Drakari. So we got 20s, and yeah, we won the round. So we were undefeated day 1. We had 2 draws, 1 win,
and a win.
And then round 4 we went into the Daddy's Girls team. So my team at the last team event played these guys. So it's this time Alex Terrison was their captain, and you'll hear him talk a bit about his team. After at the end of this episode, he has some really good insights and reasonings as to why they picked some lists. But they pretty much had Braden on Dark Angels, who was their big shield. Matt Kinman on a mixed Big Demons list with Beast and Chaos Terminators, also another big shield. Alex Terrison, who was playing the Mech Orcs with the Bombers, the Scrapjets, a couple of they weren't Def Dreads, they were Def Dreads, a couple of Def Dreads.
They were Def Dreads, man.
5 Smasher guns and the custom, the cannon wagon, isn't it? Is that what it is? Yeah, that thing is terrifying.
And some flying headbutts for you.
Yeah, and I had a practice game with Alex, and it's a super shooty list. And then Lockie Gordon on Harlequins. So going into this, I kind of knew that I had a reasonable game into everyone, irrespective of table. So I thought, okay, the smartest thing is I'll put myself into champ. We'll give the people that need tables good tables, and we'll keep the decimator list in our hand. So in case the Dark Angels go out, we have a reaction to it. So we win the roll-off. They put out Braden's Dark Angels. And we're like, sweet, we're going to get the decimators into it. Yeah. And then Braden picks the densest table on Earth. And we're like, this was a mistake. This was a huge mistake. And poor Matt like clawed for every point, and he failed another bloodletter charge and a 4-inch charge with a keeper. He said, "Oh man,
Dude, he is the only person I know that will
yeah."
fail rerollable 9-inch charges on 3d6.
It's actually a rerollable 8-inch charge, Jordan. A rerollable
Oh,
8 on
even worse.
3d6. Like it's oh man.
Even worse. He's the
So
only person I know that does that. No one else can do that. It's a talent.
yeah, so like yeah, so Matt went down to Braden. That was, a bit unfortunate. Wayne, I'm gonna call Wayne out because this is hilarious. He's like, "Oh yeah, I think I can take that orc list. I think I can take it." And I don't think he realized how much shooting was in there. And Wayne scored some points, but he went down 15-5. And then once again, I looked at Jordan. I was like, "Oh man, we're gonna have to work hard." And in my game with Lockie Gordon, I thought it was a good game against Harley's, but my goodness, he made me work for it. He was the only player that got some while we stand points on me all weekend. So he was able to dive the Trueborn
Very
boat
nice.
and kill the Trueborn. So yeah, he played super well.
If there's an army that can do that, it would be Harlequins because they are so mobile for what they are,
Oh, man.
when they hit, it's like a friggin' freight train.
Yeah. There was a moment at the end where he set up his final deploy scramblers. We had 5 guys in a boat in a corner to get out in his final turn. Like they're behind a ruin to do scramblers, and I made a lucky 9-inch charge with the grotesque, killed the boat, tagged the players so they couldn't do scramblers, and that was a big 10-point swing.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, so I got up 13-7, but not enough points. Not enough points, Jordan. You got a big 20. Anything about that game you want to talk about?
Yeah, so going into this list, I like these sort of lists to play against. The big monster list. BAs just trade so well into them because the +1 to wound is just so powerful. Yeah, so and Matt Kinman himself plays BAs as well. So it's always a bit of a hard game because he kind of knows the tricks. But it turns out he didn't know all the tricks because the BAs absolutely trumped that list. Turn 1, the Death Company ran across the table, killed 15 bloodletters, and the Thunderhammers killed a keeper. So in one turn, I'd essentially killed about 400 points worth of shit with 150 point Death Company in it. And then because he picked banners, I killed the keeper, and to the right of the keeper was the Terminators, and to the left were the Bloodletters. And where the Terminators were is where the objective was.
Oh, you touched it.
I just touched it so he couldn't raise a banner on it.
Oh no, mate.
So the Death Company then survived to the Bloodletters because they pretty much killed all of them. And then I whirlwind some of the beasts that were heading towards the middle of the table. So for later on, if they try to charge me, they'll be fighting last. And I pretty much just bullied the center of the table all game. And then when I found an opportunity, I just kind of went for his objective and just took a lot of points off him. Just didn't allow him to score primary. He got 2 turns of scoring primary, and then after that, he didn't score anything. So
yeah, wow.
Yeah, it was just straight up. The list just bullies. It went really well into that, so I was really happy with that game. Matt's an absolute gentleman. It took it like a champ. So at that stage, I think there was another draw, wasn't it?
Yeah, man, third draw because I played in the last team event. The team I took, it wasn't on Jordan. You were playing with. Oh, you were on the Strength Cartel that round. But yeah, when I played Daddy's Girls, we got a draw again. So it's a second time that we've drawn. Someone's got to win the third one. But yeah, another great round, and that was really interesting because we were technically undefeated, and Daddy's Girls actually played up to play the Emperor's Finest. And we looked at the round, and we were ranked 5th, and we played down to go for 3rd place. So we were like, wow, that draw kind of saved us another big list. So we played the lovely lads for round 5 from Ipswich.
Yeah.
So the ITA guys. So they had Chris King on Death Guard. They had Ben, who you play, Jordan, on the Obsec Necrons. They had Callan Jones on the Harlequins, and Dan Burns on the Slanesh Emperor's Children, and that was a list that no one wanted. So it was like some silly amount of Noise Marines. Man, it was all.
I think it was 20 Noise Marines, and then it was like 2 big units of Terminators as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a scary list. On a good table, I think I would have been fine into that, but it was, again, if it shoots, it hurts.
Oh
Whatever it
man.
shoots, it kills.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a moment. It's
Yeah,
firepower. Like I saw, I think in the earlier rounds, Dan Burns, who was playing next to me, was playing Matt Kinman, and I think he just killed all the big monsters in like 3 turns. Like it goes so hard into like just like you were saying, Jordan, how your Blood Angels get good value for money into certain things. This Noise Marine list gets incredible value into certain things that don't have a good armor save, that have just like a
yeah,
4 or 5 up invo. Um, and yeah, so with the pairings here, I kind of knew that we needed Jordan as a put up to get a table, get a good win, and at this stage, Jordan, I was essentially just ready to put you into greens and and let things
yeah,
happen. So we won the roll off, and they put up their captain, Chris, the Death Guard. And I looked at the matrix and I go, oh, I don't really want to put Wayne into this. Jordan needs a good table, and Jordan shouldn't be wasted on the shield list because Chris's list was crazy. It had Morty, it had 2 of the Contemptors, and it had like 50 or 60 Poxwalkers, like a lot of Poxwalkers. And I thought the
yeah,
smartest thing to do at that stage was actually to put me into it to clear up the matrix a bit. And I had that down as an orange. In hindsight, it's probably closer to a yellow, but those Contemptors like do a lot of damage. So I was able to play a bit cagey at the start, not give up too many little units to score, and then he moved his Contemptors out, and I got super lucky with like 7 lance shots and 2 blaster shots. I just killed 2 Contemptors. Like everything went through. Most of the saves got failed. I rolled like 5 and 6 damage on each of them, and just 2 of them went into each of them and just killed them. And I was like, wow, that was the luckiest thing ever. Which meant poor Chris had nothing to kind of shoot my boats and then kill the stuff inside. So he was just forced to charge stuff inside, and then my obsec would fall out, and I was just constantly like up on primary.
yeah,
And turn 1, I got a shot on Mortarion, and I took like 3 or 4 wounds off him. I was like, oh, maybe I could slowly chip at him. But then his Contemptors came out and deboated 2 of my boats straight away. And I was like, okay, I need to shift my gears. I need to not just let Mortarion do his thing, and then just kill those Contemptors. So I got pretty lucky. Had a few tricks where same thing. The Trueborn got into danger. I put them in a boat, took them off, brought them back late game. The Grotesques were just powering up in corners, just waiting for turn 4 to get the invo up, and then they pushed out. And there was a play in that game against Chris where I realized that Poxwalkers being such a leadership meant that Incubi could make them fight last really easily. So I had a couple of fronts where I
yes,
charged Incubi in, turned them off. Then I charged my Archon in, who can automatically make stuff fight last. So I had 2 units that couldn't fight, so I could freely charge my Grotesques into some Death Shroud and kill them, and then just chip away at the other units later. So that worked quite well. Absolute gentleman to play, Chris, in that round. Really nice game. There's actually a few little rules that neither of us kind of understood properly, like the foul blight spawn, and we had to get Josh to kind of come and make a ruling, and it was real gentlemanly. So great game to you, Chris, and I've seen him at many events, and it was great to actually play him. But yeah, ended up getting a big win there. I think it was 18-2 or 19-1. And then Jordan, you played Ben, the Obsec Necrons, which was definitely a game we wanted as well. Hey.
yeah, man. So me into that cron list. Obviously, I've played against a lot of crons, being Nathan, who I would say is probably one of the better cron players around. Um, So going into this, I was feeling fairly confident, because since I've added more tools into the toolbox, it makes my games against crons a little easier. So including the null zone and the whirlwind to make things fight last and turn off Overwatch. So yeah, I looked at it. I looked at my table, looked at the mission, and I was pretty satisfied. I was like, okay, I can play a pretty defensive game here. I can just hold 2 objectives all game. I assume being, Obsec Necrons is going to probably try push my deployment zone and stop me scoring primary.
Mm-hmm.
Which is essentially what he did. He tried to push to the middle of the table, and that's when all hell broke loose. When all the Sangard jumped out. But once again, I went first, and what did I do? I ran the Death Company over and punched some Scorpex. So the Death Company hammers went into the Scorpex, which is a perfect. I do this all the time. I like look for that quality target that just has that perfect profile to get hit with a hammer, and go,
Yeah.
that's going to go down. And yeah, it was perfect. The hammers did really well into the Scorpex, killed almost all of them apart from one. He then re-rolled his res and he resed 1, which I was fine with. So gone from 6 down to 2. I was fine, but I put 2 of the chain swords from the Death Company into the what's his name, the Nightbringer. That's him. And I thought I only need to do 3 wounds because like that's all I can do anyway.
Yeah.
Did 3 wounds to him, and then that set the precedence for the rest of the game. He comes back, Nightbringer comes out to the middle of the table, and he in one turn he caught multi-melters, a smite, and then got charged. It was all killed in the turn. So 2 turns the Nightbringer was dead, which was good. So yeah, it was good. And then after that, he just kept bringing on. He had 27 scarabs. Like what the hell? 27 obsec scarabs. So the mission was priority targets, which is hold the center. So I picked good secondaries to play a very defensive game where I didn't actually have to leave my deployment zone. I picked banners, the mission, and oaths, so I could just kind of sit around the middle of the table, and then like late game start pushing. And about turn 3 and turn 4, I kind of went for it. I think in turn 3, I picked up all the scarabs.
Nice.
So just with some good charges and holding the center. Basically, just he moved some scarabs onto the center, and I had my librarian hanging out, but 3 inches behind him was the Sangard. So they heroic straight in the middle of the table and started duking it out with the with the scarabs, which is basically they were there all game fighting it out, and that was giving me my oath as well because I was still in the middle with them. So
yeah, nice.
But yeah, it was just an awesome game, man. He made a few little mistakes on deployment, but he learned a lot after the game, which was good. He learned a lot that what his army does and doesn't want to fight. And
Yeah.
Ben had said that he's played BAs before at that event, so he didn't want to play him again, which is fair. So yeah, but no, absolute gentleman, really good dude to play. So it was one of those events, man, where there was not a single game where I was just like, oh, I haven't enjoyed myself. Like they progressively just got better and better. Like I played League game 1, it was a good game, it was pretty clean. And then I played Aaron, awesome game. Like me and Aaron didn't even have a single rules discussion. We just played the game. It was just an awesome event. And I went into Anton. Anton was just having a laugh the whole time. Matt Kidman was the same, and then Ben was the same as well.
Yeah, nice. And maybe Jordan, you might have a part of that because you were lucky enough to win best sport. Hey,
I was. I didn't even expect that. I was like, I think I was trying to be as nice as I could with everyone I played because I was just like, we're the normal blokes. We got something to uphold here.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I tried to be as nice as I could with everyone I played, and there was a few times people want to take things back, and I was like, yeah, that's fine, and didn't have to TO a single thing, so it was really good. I think it was just some rules question at the start we had in relation to terrain, but yeah, man, it was just an awesome event, and we ended up winning that round. We ended up going, was it 39.40? How many points did we score? 39, 49.
You got a 20. I got 19. Wayne had a really tight round against Callan, so it looks like that was a really tight game. So that was a 10-10 draw. And in champion, Matt McArdle against Dan, against Dan Burns. That was a game that no one wanted. Poor Matty had a light table, and I think turn 1, Dan went first, and his shooting killed 2 keepers and a decimator, and like a rhino and like a bunch of infantry. So Matt was just immediately like 700 points down.
It was pretty sad.
Yeah.
I remember looking over, and he was laughing about it. He thought it was that funny that he lost so much stuff.
I still, at the end of that round, I remember because that game finished early. And I was like, damn it, we're 20 points down. And then Wayne's in my ear. He's like, oh, I can't win this, Dineeth. It's going to be close. And then halfway through, he's like 10-10. I was like, damn it. Between me and Jordan, we need to get like 36 points between 2 people. And then Jordan comes around and he's got his 20. And I was like, okay, cool. So I need to get like 14 or 15 points to avoid, 15 points to avoid the draw. And our game was really, like mine and Chris's game was really quite methodical, and it was, we were both thinking about scoring, and all I could do was just deny primary, and it got to a point where like a lot of games had packed up, and there was like probably the most amount of people I've ever had watching my game around our table. It was like 15 or 20. And like Camilleri was coming and looking at the score, and like half our team and like the other Sun Tzu guys were there. And it was like, it was real tense at the end. But, because I thought we'd get another draw because I didn't think I'd have a big win. But then turn 5, I had a big push. And yeah, it was that was awesome to be able to do that and win it for the
It
team.
looked so tense, man. So
Yeah. And yeah, sorry.
that was good. So, just a quick little shout out too. Obviously playing against Ben, he's part of the ITA, which is the Ipswich Tabletop Association. So, just a quick shout out to those guys. They're running events now as well
Yep.
throughout Ipswich. I don't know what the venue is they're running it through, but look, just Google that Ipswich Tabletop Association. They're running
their events are on
doubles
Facebook.
events.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I haven't played a doubles event since 8th edition.
Yeah, dude. We had a lot of fun at doubles back in the day. It was great.
We won. We won a
dude.
doubles event.
Yeah, by some miracle. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I guess that's the recap of our team. So yeah, we were lucky enough to get to third place. And after these events, I always do I don't know, I'm a bit of a secret data monkey. I don't know how to use Excel properly, but I just enjoy like a small amount of data. So I go back and look at the pairings and look how we did. And there's some really interesting trends that I found, that I don't know if people will be interested, but we found that obviously most of our greens we win. But most of our yellows I found, we tend to be on the losing side of a yellow. And it looks like our team puts a yellow marking on, I probably won't win this. Like I probably will just get a small loss. So in future, I want to kind of differentiate, get a bit more accurate in that yellow, or just look at how different players play yellows. Because I know looking at a few previous team events, when I looked at when Luke was on our team, when I put Luke into a yellow, he comes back with anything between like a 12 and a 15. Like I don't think he lost a single yellow. But I know when I put myself into a yellow, I'm probably going to lose that game. Yeah, I'm really keen to see some of the data, and I've actually been talking to like the Daddy's Girls team, like Lockie and Alex, about some of their data as well. So I think there's definitely room to improve that pairing process and get better at it. So, but yeah, Jordan, I guess we've actually got a bunch of recordings for a few recordings for the guys and girls who are at home to listen to from other teams. But anything you want to finish up on?
No, I just want to, thank everyone who did attend the event for just being absolute gentlemen. And of course, thank Josh McGowan himself for running just another awesome event. I know you gave that shout out earlier at the start, but man, I swear every time we go to his events, they're just getting better and better. And the quality, it's the first time I can say this, but the quality of games are getting better.
Yeah.
Like the opponents are getting better. People are playing better 40K now.
Yeah.
And it shows in the score too. Like the games are so much closer than they used to be. So credit to everyone. It was just an awesome event. Like I'm so happy with that event.
Like definitely at this team event, there were some really big teams. Like we knew from the start, there were some teams like the Victorian team, Eric's team, who had Eric Waldock, Nick Standing, and Dan Savage. That team was going to be really strong. We knew Liam's team was going to be strong, but there wasn't as big a disparity between the top teams and the lower scoring teams. It was really tight, and a lot of the rounds, like there was draws everywhere. Hey, and whether that's to do with the scoring rubric or whether it's to do with the skill of the players, I think it's a bit of both. I think people are getting better at the game, and a lot of the teams are getting a lot better at pairings. Like they're all doing their Excel sheets, they're getting practice games in, and it's awesome. And it's great to see that among a group of that's like 60 players or 55, 60 players in a single state. That's amazing. So
40K is getting serious.
Yeah, so I guess leading up for the next couple of months, a bunch of us, and I think you as well, Jordan, we're going down to Victoria for the VTC Victorian teams.
I'm so excited.
I think, the Vic guys are running that. And then we've got another Gladiator Gaming teams event in June that I've been able to put. You're in a team for that, I've heard, Jordan.
I am. I think I forget who's in my team at the moment. There's just so much
There's too much going on. I think you're in Sam and Brent's team, hey?
I am. I mean, with Brent Piggott, Sam, and I feel like it might be Nathan.
Yeah, nice.
Or it might be Wayne. I can't remember, but I know that I'm definitely with Sam and Brent. Brent hit me up a while ago to come join. So
nice. That'll be great.
Man, I'm excited. It's going to be something different. I might even captain myself, or I might let
Ooh.
someone else captain if they want. It'd be interesting because I just like playing games.
Yeah, Nathan's done it before, so I'm sure he'd be up for it if you're not. But yeah, I
Yep.
think I got the team together with like I just can't leave Wayne behind. He's like the Mary to my Pippin at this stage. So I got for VTC I got Wayne, Sam, and we picked up Nick Argent, who it'll be really fun. And then for Gladiator Gaming in June, I've got Wayne, I've got Nick Wright, who can finally get a weekend off to play. And we've commandeered Jordan. I don't know if you knew, but we've commandeered a Vic. We got Stewie Trainer playing for us.
You guys are horrible.
It'll be
That's
worth
good.
it, mate. It'll be worth
Yeah.
it. But yeah, well, other than that, Jordan, I mean, for anyone listening who hasn't played a team event, if you ever get the opportunity to and get, a bunch of your friends together and play, it is a whole heap of fun. A whole heap of fun. So if you're keen to attend, if you're in Brisbane, if you're keen to attend some of Josh's events in the future, look out for Gladiator Gaming on Facebook. He's got a whole heap of events, and they're all on Down Under pairings as well. So hit them up. But I guess we'll leave you all to it. If you like the episode, subscribe to us on iTunes. Give us a like. We're on YouTube now as well, so you can see our videos and subscribe to our channel and get your notifications on there. If you want to support the podcast, we have a Patreon at www.patreon.com/thenormblokes. And any support helps towards recording equipment and running the show and hopefully making even better content for you guys. But yeah, look forward. The episode's not finished. You're going to hear some great recordings from some of the other captains. But yeah, take care, guys. See ya.
Cheers.
Team Northside Alliance always has a great time at the Gladiator Gaming team events, but this time we're also extremely happy with our outcome, finishing better than expected in 4th place in an extremely competitive field with many top tier players. Our team was made up of myself with Blood Angels, Nick Argent with Chaos Knights, Will Milton playing Necrons, and Simon Jackson with Sisters. Nick was our anti-Death Guard and anti-Monster list, but also paired OK into Drukhari with a durable list focused around Night Mageras and Moiraxes. Will's double Satan list provided another durable shield with mortal wound spam output as well. These lists helped clear the way for my Sanguinary Guard heavy Blood Angels, backed up by Death Company and Inceptors, and a fairly standard Repentia heavy Sisters list with Sephirim, Retributors, the Triumph of St. Catherine, and Celestine. In our first round, we played the Misfits and got mostly good matches, except for myself into Death Guard. However, I was able to use my speed and mobility to keep away from more terrain, and over several turns whittle down Blightlord Terminators for a win. Nick's Knights also got up over the Drukhari, and Will's Necrons got up over the Necrons that he was playing against, giving us a win in the first round. In round 2, we played against the Giant King, which was a draw, with Will piloting to a Necron win over Drukhari, my Blood Angels winning a favourable matchup for them against Deathwatch. Unfortunately, Nick's Knights took a fall for the team, getting paired into Josh Gordon's Breacher spam list, which was a real hard time for his vehicle-heavy Knight list to counter. So sorry about that matchup, Nick, but we still managed to get a draw out of that round. Our next round was against Godhammer Gaming, which was a tough matchup for us and one that we weren't very optimistic about winning. But we still managed to get a draw from that, thanks to a good pair for Nick in Drukhari and a hotly contested game between Will and Paul Gurney's Iron Hands that went right down to the wire, with Will being able to clinch a win at the end. Simo, with a close loss, kept us in the round after I went down 20-0 to a Magnus and Morty Monster Mash list. And this was mainly due to some big misplays on my part, taking nothing away from Rory Argent's excellent piloting of that list. Round 4 for us was another tough one. We got paired into the Victorian Art of War team and got the learning experience that we were expecting. We had a lot of fun, but had narrow losses for Will's Necrons into Adam Camilleri's Dark Angels and Nick's Knights into Jeremy Martino's Sisters. I again went down hard in a bad match to Matt Morrisoli with his Drukhari. My big Sanguinary Guard bricks traded badly into his Witch Cult units, and despite this being a tough round for us, we had a great time with the good sports from the Victorian Art of War team. Our final round was versus the Toowoombanators, and I got some redemption in a Blood Angel near mirror match versus David Truman, pulling off 100, thanks largely to my bike captain Teether tearing his way to glory, cutting through a Whirlwind, a Librarian, a Sangrery Priest, 5 in Curses, and 3 Sangrery Guard, and holding a backfield objective against a Dreadnought for 2 turns. Nick also got 100 in a good match for him versus Death Guard and Chaos Soup, and Will got a narrow win over Jazz Wright's beautifully structured Orcs list, giving us the final round that we played. Northside 40k Alliance will be back for teams in June, and new players are always welcome at our Friday night games at Murrumba Downs. Check us out on Facebook at Northside 40k Alliance.
Hey everyone, Alex here. I was the captain of the team Daddy's Girls at the last Gladiator team event, and I'm going to give you a rundown on how we prepped, how we designed our teams, as well as how we went on the 2 days. So for this event, we decided we wanted 2 shield lists in our team. The first one ended up being a Dark Angel list. That was quite heavy on Terminators, played by Braden. The second shield list was a Demon list, souped with Emperor's Children, and was played by Matthew Kinman. The 2 other lists were our sword lists. The first one was an Harlequin list, quite balanced between foot players, fusion boats, and a few minimum squads of bikes. And the last list was an Orc list, piloted by myself, which was quite heavy on vehicles and was able to deal good mortal wounds, as well as having a decent shooting output. So, some extra details into the list. We wanted the shield able to swing the primary with a big move during the game. So for the Dark Angel list, we had a teleporter on the Assault Terminators, which allowed them clearly deploy during the game, and then combine with Chaplain's Litany, make an ED charge with an extra pilot and consolidate. So essentially, turn 2, you take a big Terminator squad in the face. Everyone's upsake, they can pile in 6 inches, super nasty. And similarly, in the Demon list, we had a Bloodletter Bomb in the Demon detachment. So with the special banner, the extra charge, so same idea, you deep strike them, they make a charge, kill something, and then swing the primary by 5, sometimes 10 points. It's pretty big. For the Harlequin list, it's pretty simple. Loki has been playing the list for more than a year. He's quite confident with it. He can go into nearly anything and get a decent scoring, and some very good scoring into specific matchups. For my list, the Orc list, Deskull, he was a bit more of a, based on what we expected would be the meta, which would be heavy on Dark Angel, heavy on Death Guard, with a few Necron players running 2, maybe 3 Catons, and as well as some sisters with a bunch of MSU units. So he ended up quite well. The tech we put into the shield list worked quite well. Braden was able to score 2 20s that were key to turn around 2 rounds. My Orc list worked quite well as well, as long as we were able to pair it. I took a brick in the face at the last round when I played Walduck, which was probably the worst matchup in the whole field for me. Took this one in the face. And so a few things didn't quite work our way. I guess the first one was we didn't plan very much for Dark Eldar. To be honest, they came right before the submission. None of us had experience with them, or 1 or 2 games at most. And, it's like a different army to play against. They have all of these baby units into transports, so you have to kill the transports, and then you have a nasty obsec unit, which is 100 points and is able to delete a bunch of things in the game. So we are not quite ready for them. And what it meant during the pairing process was that we had to send the least bad option we had, which was the Harlequin player. And he actually took away a sword from us. So it was only the Orc list left. And this put a lot of pressure because Loki had to go into okay to not so okay matchups, scoring between, 11 and 7 or 8, super tough for him. And that put a lot of pressure into Matt and Braden, our 2 shield lists. The second thing that didn't work too well for us, I guess, was the demon list. I don't know. We thought it would be a bit more tough, but that was probably true like 6 months ago. Now the keepers they go down pretty fast. The beasts go down pretty fast. So it was a bit tough format to play as the shield we needed him to be with this list, I would say. But overall, we went 1 win, 3 draws, and 1 loss, which looks pretty average, but the field was super tough, and we were super happy with it. So we got draws into teams made of players with more experience than us. So for example, we drew against Sun Tzu, Liam's team on round 1. We drew against Battle Station, which was Josh Magowan's team on round 2. And we also drew against Normal Blocks, Dineeth's team on round 4. I think going to this event consistently and slowly improving into like how we approach the pairing and the list design is making like a big difference. Not sure I mentioned it, but we actually started to be second to last at the first event, so we had plenty of plenty of room to improve. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm just gonna end up saying we had a blast, and I think, like in a vacuum, teams event is the best way to play the game. I mean, yeah, that's my opinion, definitely. And yeah, if you have the option, you should come and join us next time. It's awesome. Cheers.
This is Christopher King, and I'm the captain for the ITA team. That's the Ipswich Tabletop Association. Our team currently consists of myself running Death Guard, Daniel Burns running his brutal CSM with Emperor's Children, Ben Rowan was running Necrons, and Callan Jones with his Harleys. We had an absolute blast at the last team event and started scheming for the next one on our way home. We'll be at the next one for sure. Overall, we were happy with how we went at the last team event. Death Guard is my jam. I mean, zombies, flowers, and grungy trench warfare. What's not to love, right? Dan loves his chaos as well, but Emperor's Children are his main army. Those noisy boys are straight up brutal. Ben has a few different armies, but we went with Necrons because they're a solid choice in a lot of matchups. Callan joined the team relatively late because we had some shuffling to do with the 4th spot, but he did an amazing job, gelled well with the rest of us, and will be more than welcome at the next one. Thanks again to Josh McGowan for being a solid bloke and consistently putting on these awesome events and putting up with everyone's shenanigans. I'd also like to thank Dineeth and the rest of the normal blokes for the opportunity to showcase our team, and for the intense nail-biting 5th round. It was a great way to finish the event for us.